Hey y'all, welcome to Lions In. We got Matt and Justin with us tonight.
What's up, guys?
Hey guys.
So we got the whole got the whole crew in here.
About lost it there.
About lost it there. Well, we're doing if there's a lot of noise that goes on tonight downstairs, y'all just pardon the interruption. There's I got 3 girls downstairs cleaning. We're doing our summertime cleaning of the building. They're mopping floors. They're doing all kinds of stuff, vacuuming, and we're trying to get it cleaned up for the 4th of July and get everything ready. So looking forward to that. So
David, tonight are we gonna have because it's not getting dark till 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So is there gonna actually be a lights out?
yeah, all the lights automatically go off
Okay,
regardless
so
at
that's
8 o'clock. Now it won't be as bad tonight because we
Yeah.
do have so much light coming through the windows, but it still gets dark up here. Trust me.
Best case scenario is we don't have a train. You know,
Yeah, that's the
all
best
we need.
case. That's probably not going to happen. We will get a train at some point.
But we've had plenty of y'all complain about that. So.
Yeah. If we don't manage to get a train, it is going to be a small miracle. So, but got a good show tonight planned out, I think. We're all just coming off of a trip to Kentucky Lake. We've got a lot. We're sitting here discussing, the July schedule and how full it currently is and what all's going on. So,
For sure full.
got another one coming up at Gibson next
Yeah.
weekend,
Yeah.
the 10th, and then
Let's see.
Bass
Bass
kayak
Masters
on the 24th,
24th on Pickwick.
and then weekend after is Browns Creek.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh crap! I forgot there's a 4th one.
That's
So,
right.
and then we're probably going to throw another one in the mix in between. We're still trying to make some.
Yeah.
We're talking about, for those of y'all that don't know, my buddy Billy's wife passed unexpectedly after losing his mama the week before, and so we had that funeral today, and so y'all remember him in your prayers, of course. But they're going to have a big bass boat fundraiser on the 18th at Pickwick. So if you got a bass boat and you want to jump into that, I mean the proceeds are going to Billy to help pay for funeral expenses and some other things there. We've had a lot come out of his wallet in the last few weeks, and got a lot going on. So
Did you mention the entry fee? What is that?
it's going to be $120 for the entry fee, and that's for the team. So that's for 2 people. But we're talking about doing a kayak one on Bay Springs in conjunction with it. So trying to figure out some detail there. I know me and Robert are going to be there for the bass boat tournament. We'll probably have a kayak or 2 set up there at State Line Boat Ramp. Maybe doing a couple of demos and some of that kind of stuff to make it worth the time. And we're going to be there. There's going to be a bunch of auction stuff going on and all kinds of neat stuff. So y'all just remember Billy in your prayers in the meantime. But like I said, we just had the West Tennessee Backjackers tournament at Kentucky Lake. And here in a very few minutes, we're going to bring in Mr. Mark Davis on his big win to talk a little bit about how he did it, and probably not where he caught him, but kind of the basics.
We're gonna
of
ask
what
him where he
caught
Oh, I know where he called.
Yeah.
We're gonna ask him where the only fish in Kentucky Lake is right now.
Well, I mean, there's fishes some
Other
there's
fish,
fishes some other place. I mean, I got to the boat ramp Saturday morning, and I was the 4th one there, of course, because I'm always the last one there. And number 2 and number 4 beat me there. They went one direction, I went another direction, but it worked out.
Hey, you fished Panther.
I did.
Hey, did you see a bunch of carp in there?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not see anything but smallmouth.
I found a bunch of carp and beaver, so in Beaver Dam.
Yeah, there was some like where I was at, but not like the massive schools
Right.
like
Yeah.
you used to see.
I think a lot of those are out on the ledges right now.
Friday I went all day. Of course, I didn't get a bite all day, so it was 4th down and long, and I punted on Saturday. But I saw very few in the 2 places that I went on Saturday. Nothing hardly any.
Everybody knows. I told everybody at the tournament I fished the mouth of Beaver Dam, and there was a big mayfly hatch going on, and there was a lot going on. But I saw none of them there. And even on the graph, I didn't really see what I thought were carp. But then when I worked my way back to the corner, you get back there and it progressively got dirtier as I went back there. And as I got back there, I was like, oh yeah, here they are.
Yep.
Now I know where they're at. They done moved over here in this little corner over here.
Some of those are so big, man. You can see the full outline of them,
Yeah.
the tail and everything.
Yeah, on the graph, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
But no, I was in Panther about 3 years ago, That was the first time I really noticed like the massive school. 'Cause that first cove, like when you go back into there,
Mhm.
you go to the right, that first big cove to the right,
Yeah.
dude, they were so thick in there. I didn't know what I was seeing at first. I mean, it was crazy.
But
You couldn't even see the separation between each individual fish.
I've seen them like that, but no, I didn't see any, and I really didn't notice any on grab or anything. But and the smallmouth were in there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's all I caught. I caught a bunch of small ones, but
Yeah.
there were a lot of small ones.
You know, last year, I mean, there was a bunch out of Danville because I fished Danville several days during Hobie, getting ready for it and for the club, and I mean, you would go there around the islands in Danville, and when you were on the islands, you could catch a fish or two. But when you got off the islands, anything from 6 to 10 foot was just nothing, but you could see just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them stupid things. So, but
There's definitely been some good smallmouth spawns lately or something. Where they're just
Yeah.
they're moving down from
Oh,
Pickwick
yeah.
or whatever the
Something's
case
going
may be.
on. Cause,
Well.
I mean, first cast is Saturday. Boom, 17 through 4.
Yeah.
Yes, no. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
what?
practice on Friday. I mean, I caught 2 fish in one area, both smallmouth,
Yeah.
yeah,
and good ones too. You know.
I mean, it was funny. It was like in 3 feet of water.
yeah.
They
Well,
were, they were up feeding.
my
on all
16
those
incher, my
shacks.
16 incher was in was maybe 2 foot of water.
Dude, Ben Lowry,
Mhm.
I talked to him because I put in at Paris Marina for like 30 minutes.
All right.
And he was there. He said, "Man, I caught 2 smallmouth right off the boat ramp right there."
Yeah.
Up in there. I mean, there's no current or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think sometimes some of those smallmouths up in there is just from release fish. So.
Yeah, like
Because they don't leave for a couple of weeks a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, but as we said, y'all might hear a little noise
Speaking of smallmouth, did you guys see the smackdown
down on Champlain.
Champlain and St.
St.
Lawrence?
Lawrence.
Good
It's been
night.
stupid.
160 pounds.
Yeah, I was kind of crying a little bit, but I did go ahead and go fish that Champlain.
Jeez, yeah, Champlain. The guys. I mean, I watched him on a podcast last night, and he said he was using a big whopper plopper style bait. It was a beaver, and it was an oversized bait too, you know. But he goes, man, it was just the craziest thing that I saw in the tackle shop. I decided to buy it, see how it worked, and that's the only thing that they're biting for. But
Just never know. It's just never know.
yeah, we overthink it so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt. You're talking about an animal that has a brain the size of a pea, and
Yeah.
we give him a hell of a lot of credit for what he is.
Yeah.
So, trying to look and see.
Yeah, Mark Davis, you know, he did real well in the. We're going to talk to him here in a little bit. We're going to ask him about his, you know, talk a little bit about last year. I think he finished 4th in the Hobie Bass Open Series event there too. If we understand correctly, he fished the same area this tournament too. So
It's exactly the same area. I know exactly where it is.
Well, we're going to talk. There's something we can talk about
I'm not
all
gonna
that
tell. I'm
too.
gonna give it
yeah,
away.
we got some questions to ask.
Yeah. So,
But,
all right.
yeah,
so
it was a good tournament.
It was.
It was, I mean,
Quite a few fish caught. I mean, I think
Yeah,
a lot of lemons. Quite a few
There
lemons.
were 15 limits. No, I'm sorry. Back up. I don't know how they ever do this. There were only 9 limits.
Yeah, lemons. 20
But
guys.
there were 587 3/4 inches. I was shocked. We had what 22 anglers.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a few more. We've
Yeah.
been averaging about 28, 29. So,
well,
It's getting a little hot.
it is getting hot.
Yeah.
Of course, Patty and David were
Doing
out
something
there.
else.
Yeah, probably good. We would have given them our money.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, they live at Danville.
Well, her son was out there.
Yeah, he came in 5th.
Yeah.
Josh
Yeah.
Fitt came in 5th.
Who was 2nd through 3rd?
Second was Brandon Davis, my partner there, with 50 1/4 inches. Of course, our buddy David Best was 3rd with 49 3/4 inches, and Trent Harris, or the Popper King, was fourth with 49 1/4 inches.
Yeah. And it's interesting to note that second, third, and fourth came all out of the same creek in the same boat
All
ramp.
out of the same creek.
2 in the back, 1 in the front.
Well, I don't know if he's on here. I can't see who's viewing. Trent, were you using a popping frog? We know you're using a frog.
Yeah.
Was it a popping frog?
I don't know what it is. I do know it's using
I
a-
believe it was, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
No
so.
matter what lure it is, as long as it pops, he's gonna throw it.
Yeah. So I threw a popping frog to him, and I
Wow.
did have one hit it in the grass there by the boat ramp first thing that morning, but he didn't eat it good enough.
That first one I caught was on frog.
Yeah. So. But all right. So you want to go ahead and give Mark a call, and
Yeah.
we'll get Mark in here, talk about some of the stuff we wanted to talk about with him. And guys, like we were telling y'all a little bit earlier, we're gonna kind of switch everything up. Maybe we'll talk about it in a minute.
Hello?
Hey, Mark.
What's up, Mark?
Hey,
Hey,
what's
Mark.
going on, guys? How are y'all?
We're
How you
good.
doing?
We got you on getting the speaker set up here. So, man, you're earning the title as the Kentucky Lake Hammer. You did real well last year.
Well, I don't know about the hammer. I just happened to get on a good bike.
Well, you've had a couple of really good turns last year. You were fourth in the Hobie Bass 7 Series, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, dude, that's hammer quality right there to me.
Absolutely.
On a fabled fishery.
Yeah.
That's really awesome, man. Tell us a little bit about your experience. Be as detailed as you want, or
Okay, well, to start off, the first thought that crossed my mind when I pulled up the ramp that morning was, we made a mistake. I'm the only one here. I hadn't had a chance to pre-fish any. I didn't get up there. Looked at the area about right at sunset, so I was overlooking the water clarity. But by the time I got over to my spot, that morning, there wasn't anybody else fishing that creek. So I was like, I might have made a mistake. So I get up there and I get in my spot, and I'm gonna do some grafting because I got a couple of minutes before 4 lines in, and I turn into the wind and I break my rudder cable first thing. So I was like, this is just not really gonna be my day. So I'm pedaling and steering with a paddle. As I go around, I just get up in there, and I think what it did was it helped me a little bit because it caused me to slow down more.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we get those pedals, we go a little too fast in an area, but the first 20 minutes I was starting to get concerned because normally when you go up in there, I get bit pretty quick. Well, it didn't happen until about 5:25, and it was a 12-inch. I was like, this is really not turning out the way I wanted to. And then I caught that 20 plus, and I was pretty happy with that. And then it just I started upgrading from there. Just about every 30 minutes I was catching a fish.
So
Go ahead.
that 20-incher, you got a unique story with that one.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. Last year, fishing the same area for the Hobie Bass Open, I caught a 20-incher, just right at 20 inches, and it had a unique back and a unique tail. So when I hooked into this fish and I laid it on the board, I was like, no way. I looked at this fish, I'm like, this is a fish from last year. I measured it, took a picture of it, and I was really in shock because it was, it showed 20 and a half. And I was like, okay. So as I made sure my picture was good, I went back and actually had enough service this year where I could pull that up, and I pulled it up and looked at it, and sure enough, it was the same fish from last year.
Wow.
In the same area, almost a year apart, but the fish had grown almost a half an inch.
Wow.
I thought that was, that shows signs that everybody complains about Kentucky Lake, being hurt by the carp. I think that the carp fishermen now, those, with what they're doing up there, I think that it's made a real improvement on the lake, and I actually think that the fish are doing well. I caught no fish that were not healthy,
Yeah.
and had big bellies, they were looking really good, and they looked healthy and looked ready,
Yeah.
and they looked like they had some weight to them.
Yeah, there was quite. I mean, there was a really good. There was a really good spawn, shad spawn that gone. I think they're more of shiners. I've seen some talk on the Kentucky Lake Berkeley fishing pages. People asking what they're seeing out there, because I saw it. I know you guys did too. I mean, they're everywhere around. I mean, just not even just around docks or anything. They were everywhere. But those just little fingerlings, I think they're emerald shiners or some strain of shiner. But yeah, I mean they've got plenty to eat. With the carp spawning, they eat on those too. So
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I noticed was, in that area there is a little bit of grass, and there was a couple of bass boats that came through, and they were, throwing frogs and throwing buzz baits and everything like that right up in that grass, and they weren't pulling anything out of the grass. I mean, I had no real intention of going up in the grass and even fishing it, because that's just not my style. But what I was doing was I was throwing right on the edge of that grass, and there's a lip that drops off, and it goes from about less than a foot down to there's some spots that's 12 foot deep, and some of it's 7 foot deep. And what was really strange about it was the fish, the bass that I was getting bit on and everything. It wasn't on the fall, and it wasn't coming down the drop. But as soon as you hit the bottom, and if there was any kind of structure at the bottom, whether it be some rock or some wood, dragging across it, about the second hop across it, that's when you get bit. So I was kind of happy with the way it was going. It was, fishing my way of fishing. Most of the guys know I'm a Texas rig kind of guy, so that or a jig. So
yeah. Well, you usually throw a little zoom crawl.
Yeah, I normally throw a speed crawl, or if I'm on a spot, like it's really known for having a majority of spots and not a whole lot of largemouth, I'll throw a magnum worm. But I just fished another tournament down here in Alabama, and I was I didn't change anything. I love that rage tail crawl and summer crawl pattern, or green pumpkin.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to throw anywhere close to grass, I'll throw that. And because of the water clarity, I just decided, maybe I would start out with that. And I use one rod all day long. It's that one. So the main thing I changed from the Hobie was going from a speed crawl to a rage crawl, and I upgraded my line from 12 pound last year to 20 pound fluoro this year.
Well, yeah, I was about to ask you about that when I asked you for your recap for the website. Guys, if you haven't gone to our website, go and check it out, LonsandGagFishing.com. Got some good content on there. We're adding to it, but that was really interesting that you said last year you're throwing 12-pound line in Kentucky Lake. Is that usually your go-to line for that setup, or do you vary it by water clarity?
I had never fished that spot prior to the morning of the Hobie Bass Open. I looked at it on, I heard from a little birdie. Little birdie told me this was the spot to go. Thanks, little birdie.
You're welcome there.
But, because I had never been there and I had not pre-fished it, I did not know that it was there. So I went there just like I would go to Gibson County or, you know, anywhere else. I
Right.
mean, that I'm not worried that I'm going to get a lot of abrasion on the line.
Gibson
So I turn
County, you're
around.
not worried about abrasion?
Say again now?
I said you don't get worried about abrasion at Gibson County?
No, I don't, because of the way I fish. Because I don't throw directly. Most of the time, I don't throw directly on the hook.
I hear you.
I'm normally dragging the creek channel and off the side of the creek channel, and you know, pull it over into the creek, and that's where I get most of my fish. And then when I fish the mouth, I mean, sometimes you'll have something, but I retie. A lot of folks will say you retie too much, but I don't think you can, because all it takes is, you know, one fish, you know, stretching that knot just a little bit too much. You can snap that line.
Yeah.
But because I didn't fish that way, I've never fished there at the Hobie on Kentucky Lake, in that spot. I lost quite a few fish, you know, breaking them off, you know, with that 12-pound test. So this year I was like, I will not lose fish by breaking them off. I may, you know, you may turn around and lose them on a hook set. That's when I changed my hook, and went from an extra wide gap to a long shank 3/0. That way, you know, everything except for the claws on that rage tail are, you know, it's got a hook at it. So, you know, it lets me get a better hook set, make sure that they've got it in their mouth all the way before I, you know, really try to set the hammer on.
Yeah.
So what size weight were you using with that setup, Mark?
With that, I was using a 3/16, and I was pegged on both sides of bobber stoppers.
Gotcha.
And the reason I did that was because what I wanted to do was just in case they wanted more of a Carolina rig presentation.
Yeah.
You know, all I got to do is move that weight up just a little bit. It'll help that crawl slow down as it comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Did you ever? So when your bites slowed down, did you get any more bites later on in the day, or was that pretty much
Well,
it?
I think the last upgrade that I had came at right about 9 o'clock. I had gone up the creek because the bite at the mouth of the creek had shut off, so I went up the creek a little bit, and it's a really weird story. I threw up in between these two logs. I thought I felt what was a brim bite, so I pulled and tried to get myself out, and ended up hung. So I pull up in between these two logs to get my line undone, and I can't seem to pull it loose. Going any direction, so I take the rod and I push it down a little bit, trying to get my hook unstuck, and I feel where it actually comes loose, and as I pull it up, well, doggone it, there's a 16.5-inch bass on the end with no fight lifting. I'm like, man, this is pretty awesome. But I heard y'all talking about the carp thing. I saw maybe 3 small schools of carp the whole time I was in the area, including up the creek, and they were larger carp, but there were only like 3 in a group. So
That's pretty good. Was the
Yeah.
with your rudder cable broke? Was the wind where you were at? Was the wind a big factor for you? Was it making your life really
yes,
difficult?
it actually made my life miserable. One of the things that it was doing was it was actually blowing into the creek, which was weird because it was supposed to come out of the south, and the way that I pictured it, it was supposed to come, blow across the creek. But the way it was doing, it was actually blowing into the creek, out of the creek, which really didn't help me at all, because it was, normally it's pushing those smaller fish up towards the creek, the bait fish and everything, the shad, and they'll get in these areas and get around the lip of that stuff, and they're in perfect ambush point. You know, the bass are. And, they just weren't really. The wind wasn't playing fair. Made it real difficult to go back. I probably left my spot at. I think it was 11:30 because I was like, I'm tired of fighting the wind. You know, I was looking at my fish. I was like, well, 53 inches is just going to have to do. I don't think it's going to be enough to do anything, because I was expecting you to probably have been out on those ledges really tearing them up. I just haven't gone out on the ledges yet. I'm going to wait till August time frame to start playing that game.
Yeah, you know, I used that XI 3 Friday in practice, and the ledge deal was great then. The spot that I was in Friday, I was telling David, there's no way I was going to be able to stay out there, because, I mean, the wind picked up on Friday in that area, and it was nuts.
It was rolling.
I told Matt, I think I talked to Matt Friday evening, and I was like, how was the wind? He said it was pretty bad. I was like, man, according to the weather guy, it's going to get worse. It's supposed to be 10 to 20.
Yeah.
And, you know, that means it's going to be 15 to 25. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was bad.
But I had a blast. I love coming up to Kentucky Lake and fishing. I think it's a great lake. I wished I could feel that way about Gunnersville. You know, it's only 45 minutes from me.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Instead of 4.5 hours.
That's funny. It's all about your experience. I would rather go to Gunnersville.
Same. Well, I like Kentucky Lake pretty well myself, but Gunnersville, I like Gunnersville really well too.
I
I'm
like
not this
that
Gunnersville-
spot he fished on Kentucky Lake. I just
Yeah.
didn't go there.
Well, okay, so that was the big question. So did y'all rock, paper, scissors for
No,
Friday
no.
night?
Okay,
No, actually, tell him, man.
so Friday I go to two other spots. And they're similar to that spot. So I didn't think that spot would be like that. So I scratched it off because I didn't go there because I figured Mark would go there. But that's not the reason I didn't go. I just didn't catch anything in anything that was
The
like
same,
it. So
so
I
you-
just
so
went
you just rolled it
totally
out.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll tell
It's
you
a bad
the
rollout.
difference in that spot, I think, is the fact of it fished different than last year.
yeah.
I went there because year to year things are going to change small amounts, and fish may bite a little different, but largemouth, they school a lot, but you have a lot of resident fish. And with that, I was like, there was enough resident fish there last year that I thought that I could go back up in there and at least give me a limit, and maybe then I could go up the creek and, really smack them like the way that Russ Snipers did it, because he fished up that creek and put the wood to me 2 days in a row, 2 weeks later with the, KBF event. So,
Yeah.
I figured at least I could pull out, a couple of fish. But like I said, it was, when I was catching fish, what I was doing was and I'm not ashamed to tell anybody, I was dragging across wood is where I got most of my bites. It was across the wood. It wasn't alongside the wood. It wasn't, catty corner of the wood. I mean, it was almost directly, if you pulled directly across the wood.
Yeah.
And it was in between, anywhere from couple of well, maybe 6 to 8 inches deep, all the way down to 12 foot.
Wow. Yeah, I wonder if you didn't get as many bites as you did, same quality, because we're a couple of weeks later than the Hobie Bass Open Series was last
Probably
year.
so. But I've been in that hole many a times, and there are definitely resident fish there. But I think just listening to Mark talk, it sounds like what the timber or the structure that's in that hole this year is different than it was last year, or it has moved from the high water or whatever.
I think it's moved a little bit because one of the spots that I was fishing, which was right on what you would call a short ledge, it wasn't there last year. And it was a bigger stump, which was why I kept going back to the same spot. I probably would have upgraded another fish if I could have beat that bass boat back over to where I was fishing when they first came in. They beat me back because, me and my steering issue, it kind of slowed me down because the way the wind was blowing. It really didn't help me at all, but they pulled out a nice 3.8-pound fish because they caught him and weighed him right then and then put him back. I was like, wow. I just messed up my tournament, guys, because I just knew that Justin or Matt or David, I actually expected David to really lay the wood to us.
I didn't get to practice.
He was quick with that excuse. Real quick.
I was when he started that. I was like, "What's my excuse? I gotta come over really quick." So,
well, if it's in April, he don't have to practice.
if it's in April, I've been
No,
fine.
he just he knows exactly where to go.
March
So-
15 to April 15, May 15. I'm more than willing to go there anytime you want.
So
I'll
are
tell
you?
you what, if we want to go up there in March, I probably won't be fishing the spot I fished.
I know where you're fishing
Now.
in March.
Yeah, you know where I'll fish in March.
Yeah.
Because you'll probably be right there with me.
We have no secrets, Mark, do we? No secrets.
Yeah, no secrets. Not on Kentucky Lake at all.
None.
No, there's no secrets.
Yeah, but I had a blast. I love, I heard somebody, posted on Facebook, they were upset that they had to wait, an hour and a half drive away from home. And I was like, I drive 4 hours to go fishing with these guys because it's worth it. The camaraderie, just the fact that we spend an hour at the end of a tournament together, and talk and have a good time, the friendships that we built. I mean, that makes a 4.5-hour drive
Worth it.
worth it. So
Yeah.
I'll go do it, and I'll continue to do it.
Well,
Hey, yeah, to that point, we got to give a shout out to BOBO's Mio
Neo
Mayo.
Mayo.
Yes.
Mio
Neo
Mayo.
Mayo, yeah.
Out there, Paris Landing area.
Yeah.
They allowed us to come out and do our way in there. So
Debbie and her staff were great, man. They welcomed us in. They treated us good while we were there.
Got some great
We
food.
got some really good food there too. And grilled chicken is excellent, by the way. So, Mark, question for you.
Yes, sir.
You're going to be with us next weekend at Gibson County, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how many more are you going to get to fish with us?
I'm going to hit, I know I'm going to hit Browns Creek, and then I know that I'm at Bay Springs.
You're wanting to go state again, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I sure am. I figured if I could pull out, a top 5 over the next, 3 tournaments, I should be right there, being able to make it in. So
Yeah.
I'd love to fish it, especially considering I fished Watts Bar, the Hobie event this year. So
Right.
with no electronics and
Yeah,
it being the coldest place I think I've ever been, thanks to Alaska.
Well, at least me, you, and Justin had some good wings that weekend.
yeah. We had some good pizza too.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I ain't gonna complain. I caught fish.
Wow.
And I learned a little bit about the lake, but watched a lot of other people catch fish. So, but I really want to try and get us that paddle. We've been the first couple of years I was there, we were really in the running for it, and then I don't know, we kind of slacked off. I think those other clubs are starting to beef up a little bit, so we need to go, grab it and bring it on home.
That's right. They get it.
I hear you. So, well, Mark, man, we appreciate you jumping in with us tonight, man. Congratulations again. Awesome finish, on a semi-difficult tournament for the rest of us.
It was real tough
Yeah,
for me.
thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, I do want to give a shout out on the Hobie. My buddy Catherine, who I fished with over on the Coosa last year up at Neely Henry.
Mhm.
She just got, she finished third up there.
Yeah.
Up there.
Strong.
And, that's her first money tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
That was a pretty awesome job by her.
Yeah. She's been grinding at that really hard this year.
Yep.
For I'm sure a couple of years, but yeah, she travels all over the place, man.
Yeah, goes from Utah all the way to New York. Wow.
Yeah.
I think
How am I going to complain about a 4.5-hour trip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she has a secondary house out in Tennessee, or out in Dover. Not Dover.
Okay.
Not Dover. What am I thinking? East Tennessee, somewhere
Dandridge.
around Chickamauga.
Dandridge.
Okay.
Or Dayton.
Dayton. Yeah. All right, buddy. Anything
Thanks,
else
Mark.
you want to?
Thanks for letting me come on. I appreciate it, guys.
No, thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us.
Show.
Yeah, we enjoyed it, man.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, y'all too.
Good old Mark, one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Great
great
angler
guy.
too.
Yeah, very good.
Dang good angler.
Well, David, you had something that you wanted to share with these our fine viewers about measuring your fish.
Yeah, so
Sounds
we're
like
going to
you have
talk,
a
I
story
mean,
behind that too.
I have lots of stories behind freaking measuring fish. So everybody knows I'm still a little new at this. This is still kind of my, I guess I call this my rookie year. I mean, I fished a little last year,
Yeah, not enough to count. We'll
but not
say
enough
you're
to
right.
count.
Yeah.
Well, I'll call this my rookie year.
Yeah.
So I've struggled with it. So, but one of the most common questions I always get from a lot of the guys is the new guys coming in is, you know, how do you measure fish? What are you trying to do? How do you take those pictures? What are all the different pieces? And so, I mean, I wish I had a little fish that I could put on the board and kind of show you guys. But there you go. We'll use the remote. So, but one of the things is, you know, there's most common question: what kind of reel are you going to use? And I mean, you know, it's a hog trough. So, you know, what we've commonly used in the past is like the little Nuka New ones or the Hobie ones. This is a Titan tungsten one. You're gonna most tournament circuits are gonna require you to put a sticker on the end,
Yeah,
so that
they all do now.
yeah, so that the tournament directors have an easier time judging where that nose for the fish butts up against the end of the board, so they can see it. And then that way they can better see where that nose is. But you know, marking the lines is an important piece. You know, this is actually Matt's old board. Old board that he gave me last year, so I could kind of get started because I went to a tournament, didn't have a board, didn't really know what to do. We already sold all the dang boards out of the building.
Yeah. See, I put that sticker on there for him.
Yeah, so he put his flat water tackle sticker on there, but you'll notice he's got them marked from the 12-inch mark on every quarter of an inch. But the whole point of that is so it makes it easier for the tournament directors to be able to judge and look and be able to more efficiently say, okay, this is where that fish went to, or there's where that fish went to.
Yeah, I mean, with most cameras today, you can see the lines on there, but it just makes it a whole lot easier. And and then especially with Castrol's, it has to go. The tail has to go past the mark
line.
to be like if it's a 12-inch fish, it's got to go. It's got to go past the mark. So marking it not too dark or not too wide really helps.
Right.
So of course, all the hog troughs you have to mark, and I think you can buy them marked now.
Yeah,
some.
a lot
you
of
can
them
buy
do.
them marked,
And like,
but you know it's. And I just take a Sharpie, turn it on the side, and pull it down.
Pull it down.
I make a mess of it most of the time, but I get it done.
I think there's some kind of tool somebody came out with
Yeah.
that'll help you make perfect lines.
yeah.
But I mean, I think all three of us have a catch board now,
Yeah.
a metal catch board now,
So,
which is
and-
this one.
So that's going to be the big board. Now, big difference between this board and that board.
About
This
6
one weighs
pounds.
about
Ounces.
7 or 8 ounces, and this darn thing weighs every bit of 3 or 4 pounds. And you can see I have a tether on the end of this one because I've done about dropped it twice. I've dropped enough fish. I'm not dropping a $63 catch board. That's the other big difference is the cost.
Absolutely.
But the reason being is with this board, it's just heavier, it's bigger, but you'll be able to see on here it comes with all the lines already pre-marked, and so it makes it a lot easier. But that little trough right there, and that's why they call it a hog trough. You've got a trough that kind of holds the fish in place. But you know, one of the things that I tell everybody, and most of you guys are going to know this already, but one of the things that we tell everybody, I have it tethered because what's the first thing you do when you catch a fish and you're going to go put it on the board? You put it over the side of the kayak, and you put water on it, and you put it in the kayak. But with this thing weighing as much as it is, when your fingers get slippery, I would hate for this thing to slide off into the water because it's going to sink faster than you can catch
Your
it.
tournament's done.
Your term is done.
It's over.
So next step, once
Let's-
you've done
let's do
that,
it.
is you're going to lay it in the boat with you. And what I tell everybody, and I know this is what Matt and Justin both told me, have it angled up.
Yes.
So what that does, it does two things for you. Now your fish, when you put it into that board, is going to lay down in the board, and he's going to sit nose down, and it's holding him kind of in a better position. Now in my little Outback, I don't have much choice but to have it angled up because
Yeah.
there ain't enough width there to cover this big 26-inch long board.
Well, even in the PA-14, it's still,
Yeah,
you know,
it still angles a little.
Still got angle.
Yeah, it puts all his weight
Yeah.
down here at the nose, so it keeps that mouth closed.
Closed.
That's one of the biggest things that you got to make sure of.
And the bigger the fish, the more weight he's got coming to him, so they'll, you know.
Yep. So and this kind of shows you that, and here's a good example of a picture.
fatty.
That was my first fish I caught. That was literally the first fish I caught of the day, Saturday. 17 and a half. Me and it fought for a little bit. It tried to leave the boat again, kind of like Texas. I kept him to stay. I kept him in, but you see the nose just pushes up against it, holds it in position. You know, and I wanted to ask Matt about this one because, I mean, you know, different circuits have different rules. So, like that fish is just laying right in the board,
Uh-huh.
tail's flat.
Yep.
Some clubs and circuits, I know you can kind of take your hand over the end of that tail and you can kind of adjust it.
Yes.
So you can get a little extra length out of that fish's tail. Sometimes you can't.
Right.
Can you kind of explain that and how that kind of goes, or?
Well, with cast, of course, you cannot, you can touch the meat of the tail, but you can't touch the tail itself.
Right.
Because it will, if you flatten the tail out, it will,
It'll give you
it could possibly give you that next quarter inch.
Yep.
And, you know, that's just a rule we came up with several years ago, a couple years ago actually, after some junk went down in Texas
Right.
that, you know, some guy was,
Yeah.
you know, we all know that story. So, but that's why we did that. And I mean, I don't touch. Here's what I did. Fish, 2 pitchers with hand on, 2 pitchers hand off. Just
Right.
that quick. So because I want, when judging so many fish and thinking about other people judging my fish, I want them to see the whole fish. I don't want there to be any question that I have manipulated this fish in any way to be longer
Right.
than it really is.
Right.
Well, some of the some of the tails, the top end of it will be
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit longer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I do similar. I'll take a picture real quick with my
Mhm.
hand on without trying to pinch a tail or
Mm-hmm.
anything. And then, so I got a picture, I'm good to go
Right.
in case, while I'm trying to pinch a tail. And then, because you can maneuver that tail without touching the tail
Mhm.
part of it
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with just the meat pretty
Right.
easily and get that sometimes the extra quarter of an
Oh, yeah.
inch. 'Cause, I mean, it may not be like that you're actually maneuvering it a full quarter of an inch. It may just be that you're actually crossing that line.
Exactly.
And that could be a big difference maker.
Yeah. I mean, it could win or
placing
lose
or
a
not
tournament.
placing, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I like to see the fish laid naturally. I don't mind people putting them on here. The closer it gets to the tail, I get a little bit more nervous.
Right.
But I don't mind somebody's hand being like Mark's. Both of those pictures of the big fish
Yeah.
he caught, he had a hand on both of them.
Yeah.
And that's the
Got a
way.
hand there.
Yep. And that's the way Mark takes them. Takes his picture.
Got a hand there.
Just gonna have it under the gill plate.
Yeah, you cannot stick
cover
that thing
mouth.
in any of the
Yeah.
the leagues. You can't put that finger inside the gill plate. Because that can damage the gill plate.
Yeah.
Damage the gills.
Yeah.
Put it in
And
there.
then what I was fixing to ask, why would you ever stick your, and just to make sure you got the fish held
To
more
hold them
securely?
securely.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because I had that question in my head, because when you mentioned that again, it's like, what, I've never asked the question, why can't you do that? Because there's no way that's going to help with a measurement at
No.
all.
Right.
No, it's just to hold that fish in. You can literally bend your pinky
Right.
and hold it down.
And hold it down. I got you.
So
All right. So, which leads me to, you said you take 4 quick pictures. Can't do that with a Tourney X when you're capturing a photo unless there's something I'm missing. So that was my next question.
I don't take my pictures with Tourney X because I don't use the Tourney X app.
Right.
having a Samsung is just easier
Right. So just do it quick.
to take the photos and then upload the photos from my gallery.
Gotcha.
And one other thing that I really found helps, and I don't know about, I'm a Samsung guy, so I don't use Apples at all. But on my camera, I can take and move. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can move where I take the picture.
Right. Where it focuses.
No, this is.
Oh,
okay.
so
The
you move the
button,
button. So
I can move.
see, you can't do that with that's
See,
what I'm aware of.
So, for years I didn't know that, and I've always had a Samsung, and this is for because when you're trying to hold
Yeah.
the end and push on the end. I'm like, holy cow! And then one day I accidentally moved it. And like, so I put it in the middle, and now I can hold the middle of the phone and
See,
just straight above the fish
Yeah.
and tap it. And I get got the fish on the board. I got it here. I can still see it good here. And most of the time I'm leaned over because I got my leg. I always cross my legs under me and put the board right in front of my feet instead of putting it on my lap or anything like that.
Yeah.
But in the Hobie, it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah. I was gonna say you're probably. I mean, you're not this elevated.
Right.
I mean, you're more like.
I'm more like here. Like when I was even when I was in a Nucano, I had the seat raised, so you're up. So I can get up, take it, hand on quick, make sure everything's in, take it off, and two more real quick.
yeah.
That's
Well, and that's and this has been one of the. I'm licking challenges one at a time with my kayakers. I mean, I'm getting better with my hook set on my Texas rig. I'm not only missed one fish this last weekend. Set the hook on fish, start reeling in real quick, and he come loose and hits the side of the kayak. I'm like, so, but it wouldn't have helped me none. It was a 14 and a half, 15 inch fish, but it made me feel better that morning.
Yeah.
And then, but that's one of the challenges I've had with my iPhone is I accidentally hit that lock button right there at Texas 4 times in a row, and that's when I lost 17 and a half inches there. So, because you don't lock it, so now you got to hit the phone again, flip it up, and redo it. And in that time, you got a fish going rogue down there underneath you. So, goes right. So,
I'm not one that puts it on fish grips and lets it calm. I don't know what you guys do. I don't do that.
I haven't been doing that. That was a question I was going to ask you guys about as well.
I've never done it.
I do occasionally. Like if it's a big fish, and she's
Still hot.
hot, I'm riled up, and I mean I'll put it off to the side just to let it chill. Especially if you get done like that 10-pounder I caught earlier.
Sure.
I got a picture of her real quick. After hollering with Russell and everything.
Oh, I was right behind you.
Yeah, and then so then I use the fish grips to put off to the side, check the picture and all that kind of stuff. That was another tip I was going to offer. Guys, man, check your picture before you release that fish.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure everything's right. Because once it's gone, it's gone. You're done. And
Here's another thing that I found that helps. I mean, you've fought the fish in, you've netted it whether you net it or not. You've got the fish in. You're holding the fish. You're getting your board ready. You're getting your camera ready. You're getting everything ready. So what I do is right before I go to take the picture, I set my phone down, take the fish, and give it a breath of air. Dunk her a couple times, and then bring her back up and put her on the board. And it seems to calm them down a little bit. I mean,
that's a good tip.
It works for me. I'll probably lose every fish off the board I've ever. Next tournament I fish, but I haven't lost a fish on the board in I can't tell you how long.
And you can kind of tell like the fish that are going to act up.
Oh yeah.
They curl that tail up and
Yeah.
it doesn't come down very very quickly.
Yeah.
And you can.
Those are the ones you want to watch for.
When you have your hand on them, you can feel them flex.
Yeah.
And
angry.
And yeah.
You're like, I fixed the lead.
Yeah, I'm fixing it.
Yeah.
And if I feel that, I'll set my phone down real quick and I'll grab it by the mouth.
Yeah.
And I then dunk them in water. I believe dunking in water just comes from
It
that.
does, yeah.
That makes sense. That's a good tip I hadn't heard, so that makes sense. And that's why I'm quizzing you guys, because you guys have been doing it a bit longer than me. My first year or so, I never lost a fish until Dardanelle overboard. I never even had one give me trouble. Even at Seminole, they gave me trouble. They didn't want to close their mouths.
Right.
They didn't want to. They didn't want to. I mean, they might just flop around a little bit, but they didn't give me a major amount of trouble. Then at Dardanelle, them fish over there were just freaking stupid.
Seminole, the biggest problem is their mouths
Mouths kept popping open, and they wouldn't
because
close
it's so
it.
cold.
Strongmouth are awful to keep the mouth shut.
Yeah.
I mean, they're terrible.
So, but then that smallie I caught the other day, it did the same kind of thing. I mean, it was this one. He didn't want to keep his mouth shut, and he wanted to jump every 3 seconds. I
Yeah.
mean, it tried to leave the boat 4 or 5 times. I was happy to get that picture right there. That's why I wasn't even trying to manipulate. I probably could have got a little bit more out of that tail, but I wasn't even trying at that point. I was just trying to get a damn picture and get him
Yeah.
on a board somewhere.
It's just seeing that picture makes me think about something. When you have a catch board, and Ryan Knack has one, it's black.
Yeah.
It's so hard to judge a black catch board.
Yeah.
And another thing is when you see how the black, the tail is
Up on that black,
the
yeah.
black.
Yeah.
There very well could have been another quarter there.
A lot of times, if the tail is wide enough, both of the longest points will be on the black.
Yeah.
And
So
in
if
that
you can
case,
manipulate that down just
Yeah.
a little further, that fish may have been 16 and a half or 16
Exactly.
3/4.
But you can't if they're both in the black, you can't really judge that easy.
it's so
Yeah.
hard.
So
It
you
is
just-
hard to judge it. It just
Do you just come down from the black to the first point on the tail where
Well,
that's at? In that case,
and most of the time, your larger fish, there are going to be, on the black. But I'll judge it. If you can look at it and tell, okay, that is definitely to the next quarter inch.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
But it is a lot harder. So if you can make sure the longest part of the tail is on there, on this part.
And that's something, if you looked at a lot, and if I had pictures of my Sam Rayburn fish, I would have those tails turned
Mhm.
to where one end or the other end was sitting on that board.
Yeah.
Because I could manipulate it a little extra. Those fish were a little more on the docile side. They didn't act like these crazy fish were acting this weekend, or the ones at Seminole, or
yeah.
the ones at Dardanelle that just all thought they were freaking running from an alligator 24/7. So,
Spots. Man,
So-
the spots are crazy.
Yeah.
Spotted bass are just crazy. They wait for baseball.
Yeah, I'm with
yeah,
you.
I think that'd be a good one.
This is fun.
So,
Always fun.
but that's kind of what I wanted to go through and just kind of talk about some of the differences and how to measure a fish. A few tips just to help the guys that maybe.
Those are really good points because I mean, captain's meeting in the morning. You're amped up, you're ready to go fishing.
Yeah.
We're going through the rules. If we do, sometimes we don't.
Well,
You
especially on the virtual, it just, virtual typically we have them later at night
Yeah.
before the tournament, so you don't want to go too long because people are ready to go to bed or people are traveling,
Right.
this, that, and the other. So
Yeah.
we suggest for the, WTBY that, in the files section on the Facebook page, the rules are there. Just read the rules, know the rules, and it's been 2 years since we've had any kind of discrepancy at all of a rule problem. So you guys have done a really good job of learning and knowing the rules.
Yeah.
I for one, appreciate it greatly.
So, I mean, the only other really good tip I can give anybody is if you're new to it, one of the things I'm still doing a lot of, and I'm kind of giving my money away a lot, is I do a lot of the online tournaments.
I give my money away every tournament I go to.
Because it's
Except one.
good practice for me to sit there and take pictures. And I mean, and it's good practice for me to catch fish, put them on a board, have to take a picture. And so, I mean, I do the tin cat ones every month.
Yeah.
I finished really good last month. I was in 4th place or 5th place at the end, and I'm not doing good this month, but I've only fished one day this month. So we'll try to go in the morning and improve a little. And got Justin to do the team winning, and then didn't even weigh in but 2 fish for the dang tournament because we were in Arkansas and
I got
Oklahoma.
4th in that deal.
Yeah, you did good.
Individual.
Yeah,
Not as a
individual,
team.
but not as a team. But he did good. So I mean,
I'm waiting on some of them old Herb Parsons finishes.
Well, that's what I'm going to do in the morning. I need 2 20 inches and I'd be in the top 3. So
I know where one lives.
I know where a couple of them are.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go try to catch those 2 in the morning before I come to work. But so that's a good rule or something good that you can do, and it kind of forces me to go to the lake a couple extra times a month too. So
When I
even
fun
if it's just
fish,
for a couple hours.
when I fun fish, I measure fish. Every fish I catch, I measure.
Yeah,
I may not take a picture of it, but I measure it just
Just
to
for the
keep-
practice.
For the practice.
Yeah, it makes sense. So anyway, guys, I hope that helped y'all out as far as some of the things that we do. And
That's real good conversation, because I mean I don't think that I've ever really just heard any group of people sit down and actually just really go through that, just kind of talk about ideas, toss around ideas,
Yeah.
offer people advice and stuff like that. I mean that's a lot of stuff that if you're new to it, you may not think about it. You may not think like, hey, maybe I can pitch this tail to get
an extra quarter.
be within legal limits of doing that or parameters, to get a little bit of extra length, but it's good stuff.
And speaking of new guys, the WTBY has had 12 new people this year
That's good.
fish with us. Now they haven't fished every time, but they're 12 different.
I only fished 2 last year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so agreed. I only fished a couple, 2, 3 last year. Yeah, so and of course I ain't fished very many more than that this year, but I'm gonna try to do better for the rest of the year. We're finally calming down.
So what's
We're
next?
right out of kayaks, guys. Sorry.
What's next for Hobie?
Maybe Pennsylvania. I still have not made up my mind. I gotta find a partner to go up there for that one, because that's a float. That's a float trip. I mean, it's easier to do that. But I definitely will be at Lacrosse, and I definitely will be at Pickwick. So we'll see.
Good. So,
Mhm.
all right.
But anything else you guys want to go over tonight or talk about? Or
No, guys, we got just to that schedule. We got Gibson County coming up the 10th, Bass Nation kayak division on the 24th at Pickwick, and then possibility of Billy Ross School charity tournament on Bay Springs the 18th, and then the weekend after that is Browns Creek.
Browns Creek. That's right, 31st.
So a lot of opportunities come out and fish with us, fish for a good cause. Jump in a bigger tournament if you're interested in testing those waters. That's going to be, I imagine, probably about 200 kayaks in that Pickwick deal.
yeah.
Probably so, yeah.
But so
Wish I could be there.
good payout, but it could be a tough one. It could be a good one. Just got depends. So,
Yep.
but
All right.
anything else?
All right.
Yeah.
Guys,
Guys,
good.
thanks.
Thank
for hanging
y'all.
out with us.
Thanks for joining.